Jared,
Yeah.
let me ask you,
Okay.
what do you do when life hits you hard and you find yourself in big trouble?
Easy one. I pray and I ask God to get me out of trouble.
Okay, yeah, me too. And isn't it funny that we'll run from God until all of the consequences of our running catch up to us, and then we start praying to God for help?
Yep. And that's what Jonah did too. And the writer of his story tells us that from inside the fish, Jonah prayed to the Lord his God. And he said, "In my distress, I called to the Lord, and he answered me. From the depths of the grave, I called for help, and you listened to my cry."
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you catch that? Even though Jonah had been so rebellious and run from God, when he prayed to God, God still listened to him and answered his prayer. It's a great reminder of what we talked about last week. You may give up on God, but God never gives up
You're
on you.
you're so right, Jen. I mean, it's hard to believe God loves us that much, but he does.
But here's another lesson that we can learn from Jonah in this prayer, Jared. As he was in the belly of the fish, Jonah began to realize where he'd gone wrong. So he prayed this: "Those who cling to worthless idols forfeit the grace that could be theirs."
Oh, okay. So let's slow down a bit. Help me understand. Make sure we know what this means. What's a worthless idol? I mean, are we talking about a statue or something?
No. Okay, so think about it this way. Every time you choose to run, you're not just running from God, you're also running towards something. You're running to a person or a pleasure or money or a lifestyle that you're sure is going to give you what you're looking for. You're running toward whatever you're holding on to that you don't want to give up.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. But that's not really an idol, is it?
Well, whatever you're running toward or holding on to is what you're treating as the most valuable thing in your life. It's worth more to you than anything else at the moment, and it's usually because I think that thing will make me feel better about myself or make me feel more valuable or more important or included.
That's it. I get it now. I may not want to give up an unhealthy dating relationship because I feel more important having a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and it helps me feel better about me than when I'm single.
Right. But the problem is there comes a point in all our lives when we get the thing we've been running to and we discover we're still empty. It's not fulfilling. It's not satisfying. It was, in Jonah's words, a worthless idol.
But what most of us do when that happens is we start chasing just another worthless idol. We try to get more money or we try to get into another dating relationship.
Yep. But Jonah was wise enough to realize that all the stuff he was holding on to was hurting him and keeping him from getting what he needed most, a close relationship with God. That's why he said those who cling to worthless idols forfeit the grace that could be theirs. Jonah had traded experiencing God's goodness and presence and love in his life for something that was empty.
Well, I've done that before, and I really bet we all have. So I guess Jonah was trying to teach us this. When you give up on God, you miss out on grace. You miss out on the thing you need the most.
And that is why running from God is so dangerous, because rebellion causes you to waste weeks, months, sometimes years of your life pursuing things that are hurting you. And then you end up with all this pain in your life that could have just been avoided if you just trusted the God who loves you from the beginning.
I've never really thought about it that way, but it makes a lot of sense. It's just not smart to hold on to things that are harming you. So what did Jonah do?
Oh, well, after 3 days, the fish spit Jonah up on dry land, which is totally gross, and he headed straight to Nineveh.
I'd say that was pretty smart on his part at this point.
Yeah, because he'd realized that the thing he didn't want to give up was standing in the way of the relationship he didn't want to live without. And that's true for you and me too. The thing you're holding on to so tightly, the thing you're running after so hard, the thing you don't want to give up is standing in the way of the relationship with God that you don't want to live without. You don't want to live without God's love, grace, forgiveness, and purpose being personal to you.
So I think it would be helpful if we talked about in our groups about the difference God's love and grace and forgiveness make in our lives.
Oh yeah, I agree. But before we do, I want you to know that if you're running from God right now, well, you can stop running. I hope you'll do what Jonah did, that you'll just let go of what's hurting you and run back to Jesus. All you have to do is tell him you're ready to stop running and ask for his forgiveness. And if you'll turn around and look for him, you'll find he's been running after you all along, not to pay you back, but to win you back. That's how much he loves you. And the minute you ask him to help you, he'll welcome you back home with him.
Yeah, I've experienced that in my own life. And if you want to talk to someone about how you can experience that yourself, feel free to talk to your group leaders or grab one of us. I mean, Take a few minutes in your group and discuss this question. How does God's love, grace, and forgiveness make someone's life better?
Yeah. Have a great discussion, and we'll see you next week for the conclusion of Jonah's story.